There's a lot of confusion out there regarding what causes loving partners to turn into roommates. You've probably heard it's because of communication or because you're not speaking each other's love languages, but this is not the case. And once you know the real reason for the disconnect, the process of reconnecting with your wife is going to seem like child's play. On today's video, I want to share with you the real reason you and your wife feel like roommates, and you're going to want to stick around to the end of this video where I'm going to share with you a bonus training on how to repair your marriage and rekindle the passion with your wife. A roommate can be defined as a couple in an intimate relationship who start acting more like roommates. They're cohabiting and they're raising the kids together, but there's very little emotional or physical intimacy. It's a life of quiet desperation. You and your wife are like ships passing in the night. There's no real depth to your conversations, and you feel like there's a wall between the two of you. Now, while other experts will tell you you need to communicate better and you need to speak each other's love languages, this won't solve the problem. The communication issues that you're experiencing in your marriage are just a symptom of the root problem. The real problem is that emotional safety has been eroded in your marriage. There have been numerous studies on the importance of emotional safety in relationships, and all the findings show that emotional safety is a prerequisite for emotional connection. Emotional safety allows couples to engage in repairing interactions. It allows them to be vulnerable and to rebuild trust. Now, I'll talk about repairing interactions a little bit later in this video, but basically what this all means is if you don't have emotional safety, you're going to feel disconnected, and what's worse is if you don't have emotional safety, you're not going to be able to repair the damage in your marriage. I like to describe emotional safety like a bridge. So imagine you and your wife are two separate islands in a big ocean. You find each other and you decide to build a wonderful wooden bridge to connect to each other. At the beginning, this bridge is really strong and stable, so you feel safe to communicate your needs, your feelings, and your emotions, so this allows you guys to connect on a really deep level. But before long, there's a misunderstanding. It might be something really small, like maybe you make a joke that your wife takes the wrong way and gets upset. But in essence, what's happening here is you're walking across to your wife's side of the bridge and you're pulling up one of the pieces of wood. At the beginning, when you and your wife are ripping up pieces of wood from the bridge, you don't really notice it because the bridge consists of thousands of pieces of wood. But after months and years, you start to notice that the bridge is starting to sway, so you don't feel so secure to communicate your feelings, emotions, and needs. So you and your wife start acting guarded. You don't open up the way you used to. You pull back because you're worried if you do open up and share your feelings, emotions, and needs, she's just going to come across onto your side of the bridge and rip up another piece of wood. And this will only affect the integrity of the bridge and make things worse. But in fact, all it's doing is it's speeding up the destruction of the bridge. And before you know it, you and your wife find yourselves back on your own island with no bridge, with no way to communicate, and with a huge ocean separating the two of you. This process is inescapable. It's what we do in relationships, but the difference is that people in loving, committed, connected relationships know how to repair the damage. And what makes matters worse is there are experts out there who say that in order to repair your marriage and the relationship is you need to apologize, and you need to apologize fast. Now, while apologizing is important in a relationship, it's terrible general blanket advice, because if you're someone who goes and apologizes all the time, you know what happens. Your wife stops believing your words because you're continuing to rip up those pieces of wood, and every time you're saying sorry, but there's no change in your behavior. And over time, your wife starts losing respect for you, and you start telling yourself the story that you're just a terrible husband that can't do any better, and this isn't true. So brother, it's time for you to learn how to repair the bridge. Watch this next video to learn how to mend your marriage and rekindle the passion with your wife.